Hey, this is John Glennon of the Tennessean. I am here with coworker Adam Vingan after Game 3 of the Western Conference semifinal series against the Sharks. Predators prevailed tonight, 4-1, cut the series lead to 2-1 here. One of the big differences in tonight's game was the Preds special team units. Finally, the power play worked, and the penalty kill worked as well. How much of a difference did that make, Adam?
Well, let's talk about the power play. 2 for 5 tonight, 2 for 31 in the playoffs entering tonight's game, and that was a big difference in the first two games in San Jose. The Sharks were 3 for 5 on their power play. The Predators weren't able to get it going. They did get one from Mike Fisher in those first two games, but not enough. The execution, it wasn't pretty tonight. They had a double minor power play, 4 minutes. Took them about 2.5 to score on that, on James Neal's goal, and it wasn't pretty leading up to that, but of course at this point of the year it's not pretty, it's effective, and that's all that matters. So to get those two, that helps, and as well, 4 for 4 on the penalty kill. As I mentioned, 3 goals allowed in the first two games on the penalty kill against San Jose, so to stop that power play, which has been very good, which entered tonight's game as the best power play left in the Stanley Cup playoffs at over 30%. That's a big deal. Another reason why they won, the continuation of the legend of playoff Colin Wilson had a goal, now leads the team with 8 points in the postseason.
Absolutely. This is a rebirth of a player. You know, Colin Wilson struggled mightily this year after signing the big contract last year. A lot of expectations this year, and frankly did not live up to expectations at all during the regular season. Only had 6 goals, 18 assists in 64 games during the regular season. But just as he did last year going into the playoffs, he hit the reset button going into the playoffs. As you said, 3 goals, 5 assists. He scored a nice rebound goal tonight, and he looks like a completely different person on the ice. And I can remember David Poyle, the general manager, saying towards the end of the season, he was talking about Colin Wilson. He said he looks like a completely different person from last year in a bad way. You know, he struggled so badly. Well, now he's completely turned around. And if he can start contribute or continue contributing, you know, even if the first and sometimes the second line isn't contributing as well, let's say that's a big boost for the Predators. So one other interesting aspect of the game tonight was the Predators choosing to sit veteran Mike Ribeiro and bringing Pontus Aberg in, a rookie making his playoff or his NHL debut in the playoffs. What was the situation there, Adam?
Well, it's interesting because I didn't think that Peter Laviolette would actually do that. Of course, we all know, those who have watched the entire playoffs thus far for the Predators, that Mike Ribeiro hasn't been good. I mean, in 9 games, he has 1 assist. He's a -3. I know that's a stat that it doesn't really hold a lot of value, but still, -3, 35% winning percentage on faceoffs, which has never been his strong suit, but still not very good. And for Peter Laviolette to make that decision, he didn't elaborate on why he made that decision, just called it a lineup decision that he made, very clear. But you know, Mike Ribeiro has struggled, and he's a type of player, he's one-dimensional. He needs to produce offensively to be effective, and if he's not, then he's not really helping out. So to make that decision, I think, you know, I kudos to Peter Laviolette for doing that. I think that was a smart move. I think a lot of people watching the Predators were wondering if that was going to happen. I wasn't sure if he was going to be able to do it, and he did. The question now is whether or not he gets back into the lineup. They played really well without him tonight. They scored 4 goals. They scored 2 on the power play, which he's on. I mean, that's an interesting question, whether or not you sit him for 1 game, hope he learns his lesson, kind of like you mentioned. Colin Wilson got scratched in a game against Pittsburgh at the end of March, came back 1 game later, seemed to be okay. Do you send Mike Ribeiro a 1-game message and say, all right, this was your chance, now get back out there? Or do you stick with what works? You won a big game without him. You know, why do you want to change what's not broken? So that'll be something to watch in Game 4 on Thursday.
Yep, a lot of questions still to be answered. Well, that's a wrap up from Bridgestone Arena tonight. Again, Predators bounce back in a game they absolutely had to have. Beat the Sharks 4-1. They now trail the series 2-1. Game 4 Thursday night here at Bridgestone Arena. For the Tennessean, I am John Glennon, and this is Adam Vingan.